They used to say Vegas was the people's playground, a place where anyone could roll the dice and feel like a king for a night. But look closer now, and you'll see the truth. The playground's being fenced off. The hotels, the casinos, even the sidewalks are quietly being sold. Not to the dreamers who built them, but to billionaires, private equity firms, and sovereign wealth funds who don't care about gamblers or tourists. They care about control. Vegas isn't dying. It's being bought piece by people who don't want you there. It started with a few quiet deals, the kind that barely make the evening news, a strategic partnership here, a leaseback arrangement there. But in reality, it was the beginning of the biggest land transfer in Las Vegas history. They called it the Great Sell-Off. For decades, casinos were the heart of Vegas. The people who ran them, for better or worse, lived and breathed the city. But sometime in the late 2010s, the suits in charge realized something. It was more profitable to sell the city than to own it. It began with MGM Resorts. Facing debt from overbuilding during the 2000s, the company sold off the land beneath its own empire. In 2019, they offloaded the Bellagio to Blackstone, one of the largest private equity firms in the world. For over $4 billion, MGM didn't lose the property, they simply leased it back. On paper, it looked brilliant. Cash in, debt out, profits up. In reality, they just handed over a piece of Las Vegas to Wall Street. The floodgates opened. Soon, Mandalay Bay and the MGM Grand were sold to VC Properties, another real estate investment trust spun off from Caesars Entertainment. The Mirage was sold to Hard Rock International. Even the Tropicana, one of the last old school landmarks on the Strip, was demolished to make room for a baseball stadium funded by taxpayers and billionaires alike. Today, walk the Strip and count the hotels. The Venetian, owned by Apollo Global Management. The Cosmopolitan, sold by Blackstone to MGM. The Wynn, controlled by billionaire shareholders. Virtually every inch of the Strip is now corporate real estate. Its ownership spread across investment funds, foreign portfolios, and private trusts. It's a city built on land no one living there actually owns. And it's not just the casinos. The surrounding land, and from parking lots to pedestrian bridges, it is being scooped up by developers and luxury investors. Entire city blocks are being rezoned for high-end condos, private clubs, and tech-driven smart districts. The Strip that once belonged to gamblers now belongs to billionaires with diversified holdings. The strategy is cold and brilliant. Sell the land, lease it back, and shift the risk to someone else. The corporations still profit from operations, but the ownership, the control, the future, that now rests in the hands of people who view Vegas not as a city, but as an investment vehicle. And that's the catch. When the mob ran Vegas, at least they cared about keeping the lights on. When the family-owned casinos struggled, they'd comp a few rooms, loosen the slots, bring the crowds back. But Wall Street doesn't care if the streets are empty, as long as the returns look good on paper. The Great Sell-Off didn't just transfer property, it transferred purpose. Vegas stopped being a place built for the visitor and became a place built for the investor, and that's when the magic started to fade. If you want to understand what really happened to Las Vegas, don't look at the casinos. Look at who's buying them, because the story of modern Vegas isn't about gambling anymore. It's about ownership, and the owners now aren't showmen or dreamers. They're billionaires. Not just any billionaires, the kind who see Vegas as a toy, a trophy, a sandbox for their own ambitions. Steve Wynn started the trend decades ago, the first to turn luxury into spectacle, to make casinos as much about brand identity as gambling. His empire laid the blueprint for what was to come, but now the players make Wynn look almost humble. Take Elon Musk. His Boring Company has carved tunnels beneath the Strip, turning the city into a test lab for his subterranean transport dreams. A pet project funded with public money and wrapped in hype. Not a single passenger car on the line has made Vegas traffic faster, but the city's still bent over backward for him, because that's the new Vegas way. If you're rich enough, the rules don't apply. Meanwhile, Tillman Fertitta, The Texas billionaire behind Golden Nugget and the Landry's restaurant empire is snapping up property along the Strip, plotting to build another massive resort just to compete with the giants. The Fontainebleau, a once bankrupt ghost tower, finally opened in 2024 under billionaire Jeffrey Soffer, the same man who helped design it 20 years earlier. Its tagline, "Luxury redefined." The irony? Vegas has been redefining luxury so often that it no longer means anything, and it's not just American money flowing in. Sovereign wealth funds, state-owned investment arms from Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and the UAE have quietly purchased slices of the Strip. To them, Vegas is just another global asset, a shiny property in a diverse portfolio. They don't care about the magic of the Mirage or the nostalgia of Caesars. They care about quarterly returns and international prestige. What used to be a city of gamblers is now a playground for global elites, and the consequences are obvious. Casinos that once welcomed everyone now cater to the few who can afford five-figure suites. Rooftop bars and private speakeasies hide behind invite-only doors. Even the skyline is changing. Less neon, more glass. Less personality, more polish. Vegas isn't being built for visitors anymore. It's being built for investors. Locals call it the billionaire land grab. It's not a metaphor. Billionaires are literally buying the desert, block by block, tower by tower, to build a version of Vegas that exists for them alone. The tourists can watch, but they're not really invited to play. The Strip used to belong to the people who built it, the workers, the gamblers, the dreamers. Now it belongs to a handful of men whose idea of fun is tax-free capital gains. Vegas is becoming what it once swore it would never be: exclusive. And that exclusivity is the quietest, most devastating con of all, because the billionaires didn't just buy the casinos, they bought the illusion of access and sold it back to the rest of us at 10 times the price. Once upon a time, you could walk the Las Vegas Strip and feel like you belonged there. You didn't need a reservation, a wristband, or a membership. You could grab a beer from a street vendor, drift from casino to casino, and watch the night unfold around you. The Strip wasn't just a destination, it was a public stage, a chaotic, democratic circus where everyone, rich or broke, stood under the same neon glow. That's over now. Public Vegas, the Vegas of open spaces and spontaneous fun, is being systematically erased. What's taking its place is something colder, quieter, and far more controlled. The new Vegas is private property disguised as a city. Let's start with the Strip itself. What most people don't realize is that large sections of it aren't actually public land anymore. Those wide sidewalks, those pedestrian bridges, those public plazas with fountains and art installations, all privately owned. The Bellagio fountain, MGM and Blackstone, the Link Promenade, owned by Caesars, the Sphere, a private venue with its own surveillance network. Even the bridges connecting one resort to another are monitored, controlled, and patrolled by corporate security. Try filming for YouTube or taking professional photos without a permit, and you'll be stopped within minutes. Sit down too long on a bench, and security will move you along. The public isn't welcome unless it's spending. Vegas has turned access into a privilege. The transformation happens slowly, hidden behind words like revitalization, security, and guest experience. But the result is unmistakable. Every inch of the Strip now comes with a price tag or a camera. It's not just surveillance, it's segregation. Casinos and hotels have restructured their layouts to separate high-paying guests from the general public. VIP entrances, private elevators, and exclusive lobbies now dominate the resorts. If you're not spending thousands, you'll never even see the best parts of the buildings you helped fund through tourism taxes. Even the energy has changed. Where there once were street performers, free concerts, and impromptu parties, now there are signs that read, "No loitering, no solicitation, no outside beverages." The message is clear. This city isn't yours anymore. And the irony? Vegas built its entire myth on being the one place in America where anything was possible. Where you could walk in broke and leave rich. Where you could forget your status, your past, your limits. Now it's just another gated community. Only this one glows. The Strip has become a corporate theme park, and the tourists are the product. You don't explore Vegas anymore, you're guided through it by velvet ropes, digital prompts, and fine print. Every path, every sound, every view is choreographed for profit. Old Vegas felt like chaos. New Vegas feels like custody. The death of public Vegas isn't just about ownership, it's about the end of freedom. The freedom to wander, to wonder, to take a wrong turn and find something unforgettable. The freedom to feel alive in a city built on risk. Vegas once promised that anyone could play. Now it politely reminds you, only if you can afford the buy-in. Las Vegas has always been a city of contrasts, glitz and grit, fortune and failure. The winners inside the suites and the losers catching buses home at sunrise. But lately, those contrasts have solidified into something starker, colder, and harder to ignore. Vegas isn't one city anymore, it's two. There's the first Vegas, the one you see on Instagram, the champagne suites, the private pools, the helicopter rides over the desert, the version of the city that billionaires and influencers now claim as their playground. It's the Vegas of $10,000 dinners, penthouse parties, and curated experiences that most people will never even know exist. A world built on privacy, exclusivity, and silence. And then there's the other Vegas, the one that keeps the lights on, the one where the bartenders drive 2 hours from cheaper towns just to afford rent. The one where casino employees juggle 3 part-time jobs because full-time disappeared after the pandemic. The one where locals avoid the Strip because it's no longer theirs. This split didn't happen overnight. It was engineered. As billionaire investors and corporate landlords carved up the city, they also divided its people. The wealthy got their own entrances, their own elevators, their own underground garages. The average guest got service fees, resort charges, and self-check-in kiosks. The corporations call it tiered experience. The workers call it what it is: segregation. Take a walk through any modern mega resort. You'll notice the pattern immediately. The lobby feels open, but the real luxury lies behind coated elevators, glass partitions, and velvet ropes. You'll see a sea of tourists waiting in line for check-in, and a private concierge desk a few steps away with no line at all. The message couldn't be clearer. Same building, different world. Even the casinos have joined the divide. Regular gamblers are herded toward automated tables and electronic slots, while the whales, the million-dollar players, are escorted to quiet, guarded rooms with private dealers and zero distractions. The casinos aren't interested in entertaining the masses anymore. They're interested in extracting maximum value from the few who can afford it. Meanwhile, outside the neon glow, the second city struggles to survive. Locals talk about rising rent, declining tips, and an economy that only works if you're serving someone richer than you. The jobs that once built a middle class, dealing cards, running shows, waiting tables, have been hollowed out or outsourced. The city that once promised opportunity now demands servitude. Even the landscape reflects the divide. The luxury towers rise higher than ever, while miles away, tent cities expand beneath overpasses. Vegas was once a place where anyone could take a shot. Now it's a reminder of who's allowed to play and who's just working the table. The Strip and the suburbs might as well be 2 different planets, orbiting around the same dying star of illusion. And the cruelest irony, both worlds still believe in the myth. The billionaires think they're buying the Vegas dream. The workers think it's still out there, waiting to return. But the truth is simpler and sadder. Vegas didn't just split. It was sold off in pieces, and each piece now belongs to someone who sees the city not as home, but as a holding. The 2 cities coexist, one built on profit, the other on survival, but only one of them gets to shine. Once upon a time, Las Vegas was America's great equalizer. It didn't matter if you were a factory worker from Ohio or a millionaire from Malibu. Once you hit the Strip, you were the same kind of fool. The dice didn't care who you were, the dealer didn't either. You were just another dreamer with a stack of chips and a shot at getting lucky. That was the magic of old Vegas. It wasn't wasn't about class, it was about possibility. But that dream, the American playground where anyone could escape, indulge, and maybe even win, is over. Vegas isn't the people's city anymore. It's a billionaire's boardroom run by algorithms optimized for extraction and dressed up in nostalgia. The transformation didn't come from one big decision, it came from 1,000 small ones. Every time a corporation cut jobs for efficiency, every time a casino added another mandatory service fee, every time a billionaire bought another block of the desert just to build something shinier. Slowly, piece by piece, Vegas stopped being a place and started being a product. And like any product, it's been rebranded for a new market. The hotels are cleaner, the lights are brighter, the guests are richer, but the laughter is gone. The old Vegas welcomed everyone. It didn't matter if you were broke or bold. You could still buy a steak dinner for $5, catch a magic show, and feel like a king for a night. Now everything has a velvet rope. Even the free drinks aren't free anymore. They're tied to how much you gamble, how much data you give, how much you're worth to the system. Vegas used to be built on risk, real human risk, the thrill of not knowing if you'd win or lose, the rush of feeling alive for a fleeting moment. But in this new version, there's no risk left. The house has calculated everything, the odds, the prices, the experience. You're not gambling, you're participating in a business model. And what makes it worse? People still come. They come for the nostalgia, for the idea of Vegas, not the reality. They walk the strip, take the selfies, post the photos, and pretend they're living the dream. But the city they're looking for doesn't exist anymore. It's been sold, repackaged, and priced out of reach. Vegas has always been a mirror of America, and right now, that mirror reflects something unsettling. A nation where wealth controls the experience, where joy has been monetized, where freedom is a brand. The end of the American playground didn't happen with an explosion. It happened quietly, one transaction at a time. And maybe that's the saddest part. Vegas didn't die because people stopped believing in it. It died because it stopped believing in them. But if you stand on the edge of the strip late at night, past the fountains, past the noise, you can still see it. A flicker, a ghost of what once was. The neon hums, the air smells like smoke and second chances. And for a moment, just long enough to make you ache, you can almost believe the old Vegas is still there, waiting for someone to remember what it felt like to walk into the desert with nothing but a dream and leave with a story worth telling.